Okay. Wow, that was good. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Deb, could we have roll call?
Roll call, okay. Mayor Campbell,
Here.
Vice Mayor Smaglia,
Present.
sorry, Commissioner Vignola, Commissioner Daly, Commissioner Carter, City Manager Goodrum, City
Present.
Attorney Hearn.
Here.
All set? Okay, I want to try to do something a little bit different. Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening, Lou. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm recovering.
That's a good sign.
A total hip is not the best thing in the world.
Welcome to the club. Okay, I'm going to do something a little different if you don't mind, Mayor. I'm going to ask the young gentleman, T.D. Gibbons, to come up here and do the pledge.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I listened carefully. You said every word just right. I want to give this to you from the city. Huh? Okay. Got it now? Okay. I led the pledge at the City Commission meeting. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, look. One more.
Whose mic is this? Oh, that'd be nice for the kid to come up here. Okay, can we do a moment of silence, please? Okay, we have a couple of recognitions before we get into the business of the meeting. The first one is donations for the 2018 summer break spot. Going to do that.
Thanks. Do you have a? Oh, okay. You guys want to come over here? I got the mic. My understanding is, Deputy Chief, you're going to lead us off.
Yeah.
Real quick, before we do, can I just point out, TD, you did an excellent job with the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't want to start a family feud, okay, but you actually did better than Mom did a couple meetings ago. So for those of you that didn't know, that's Catherine Gibbons' son. So, just take pride in that, all right? Deputy Chief?
Yes, sir. I can take that. Thank you. All right, well, thank you for ceding us some time here. We wanted to bring forth a few of our sponsors that helped us with our summer break spot over the summer. As you know, this summer, for the third year in a row, we provided basically summer camp with some enrichment programming for some of our underserved communities. And this year was a really unique challenge because due to the demand, we actually did this simultaneously at two different schools. So it was a big deal. And aside from the sacrifices that our staff makes in organizing and putting it together and having all the programming for the kids, we could not make this happen without the very generous support of some of our sponsors. So we have some plaques for some of the folks that were really instrumental in bringing this to fruition. The first folks that I'd like to call up are from First Data. First Data has been a great partner for us. This year, they provided 165 backpacks for underserved youths, and every one of those backpacks was stuffed to the gills with enough school supplies to get them through, I think, a couple years of schooling. So they really do a great job, so we really appreciate it. If you all could come around over here to the front, thank you. Thank you. You got it. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Also would like to call up a representative from the Destino Leadership Academy. I believe that's Pastor Andy's wife. The Leadership Academy provided school clothing for over 65 children, so we can make sure they've got proper uniforms and everything. Thank you very much. I also would like to call up First Church of Coral Springs, if there's a representative from First Church. Again, they provided school clothing for over 100 children in our community. Amazing. You guys have been great partners for many, many years now with us. Thank you very much. And lastly, if there's anybody from Bob Greer family and grandchildren, Ellie or Ethan. Thank you, sir. These folks provided over $2,000 in books for the children to take home. Yes. Also, representatives, if there's anybody here from the Martin Luther King Jr. Committee.
There they are.
The MLK Committee has been huge supporters since day one. This year, they contributed $2,000 and plenty of volunteer hours to our Break Spot program. Thank you. You get a flashback.
Coming back through. If I can, take 1 second on this awesome program. It's actually been recognized by the Florida Police Chiefs Association. It has become a model in other cities, and it started here in the city of Coral Springs. So a shout out not only to the sponsors, but the Coral Springs Police Department and all the different people that make it very possible year in and year out. So thank you, and a round of applause for them as well.
Yeah. Couldn't do it without our staff. They do a great job coordinating all this. Lynn's been very instrumental for a couple years in helping us. So we really appreciate it. It was a great job. Thank you.
She was already on TV once today.
We're going to have to
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Useless.
How's volleyball?
Bill. He's an ornery young man.
Here's your microphone.
I'll go with you. All seriousness. What time? When is it?
Presenting Deputy Chief Sean Backer.
Good.
That missed me. I always play that tournament.
Okay.
Wait, oh yeah, okay. Oh, Joyce. Okay, yeah. Okay, all right.
Sean?
Thursday? Next week. Thanks, appreciate it.
Okay, our next recognition is for Rabbi Jonathan Kaplan, Coral Springs Police Department Chaplain. Yeah. There you go.
All right, so this one's a little bittersweet for me. When I was a rookie on patrol, I used to take Rabbi Kaplan riding along with me, and now I'm standing here recognizing him as he's stepping away from his volunteer services with the city. When I bought my first apartment, he provided me my first mezuzah at the door. I didn't even know how he knew I had bought a place, but he was in tune with everything that was going on. So Rabbi Kaplan has provided over 20 years of faithful service, not always under the best circumstances. He's been a friend, someone that's helped us through tough times and good times, and he does it all on volunteer, and to do that for 20 hours shows you how much he cares about not only the police department, but the community, and he's going to be missed. So with that, we have a little gift for you. Something, if you could, we've got a little lucite plaque. We've got a lucite plaque thanking you for your 20 years of service as police chaplain, and it's got the civilian badge that we give to retirees. So, thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
Oh, sure. It's been, I've seen a lot of changes in Coral Springs. Again, Sean was a rookie when we, now he's one of the bosses. Which is pretty cool. I guess we're getting old. But it's been my honor to be, to serve the city as a volunteer, and we've seen some good times and some bad times, as you've just said. And but thank you for allowing me to be a part of the city, and just moving our residents, so I'm still around. All right, thank you.
And we also have a special recognition certificate for you that goes with that, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
I now want to ask, are there anyone here that want to make public comment tonight?
Vice Mayor, I have two signed speakers. The first is Barbara Markley.
Hi, my name's Barbara Markley. I am the chair of the Gun Safety Committee for the Broward League of Women Voters, and we've started a really cool project called Lock It Up, and it's about locking up guns to keep children safe and to keep teenagers safe. 4.6 million children live in homes with unlocked guns, and 50% of teens who commit suicide with a gun do so with a gun they got from home or from a relative's home. So what we are doing is we have an unlimited supply of free gun locks that we are getting from the VA. We're partnering with the VA. We have brochures, they're just a rack card with the facts: lock up your guns, don't let your child become a victim. It's got a crisis hotline on there and a crisis text line. And our goal is to get these in every police department, every government building, every school, every private school, every church, every temple. We're not aiming too high. We want them everywhere. And we go down to Miami and pick up thousands of gun locks so we can do this. And we're hoping that your city wants to participate either with just brochures or brochures and gun locks through your police department, government buildings, whatever you're comfortable with. But just so you know, we've got pretty much every other city on board and BSO and all the other police stations, police departments as well. So can I answer any questions, or I think I'd like to give you all some of the brochures to look at and maybe a gun lock if you'd like.
I'd be happy to take those.
Yeah, right here, thank you.
We have two different versions of the brochure. One says ask for your free gun lock here, and the other one says ask for it from the league.
All right.
Far drive for me, so.
Yeah, do you want to say something, John?
There's my card, we'll be more than happy to talk.
Here you go.
All right.
Broward County is putting them in all the libraries. They're going to print them in libraries and then the government buildings. But, you know, I know there's other government buildings that belong to just the city and also parks too and things like that. Anyway, thank you for the opportunity to present, and I hope that we can work together.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
You.
Thank you.
The next speaker I have, Vice Mayor, is Coconut Creek Vice Mayor Sandra Welch.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And first of all, Mayor on the phone and Vice Mayor and Commissioners, I love the new commission chambers. I've been in the City Hall several times at the, through the chamber offices and some of the committees that I serve on, but I've not had the pleasure of coming up here, and it is spectacular, as is your city. So that's the reason for my being here tonight. I knew that Coral Springs did education very well in connecting with the schools. But earlier this year, our mayor, Josh Rydell, evidently had a conversation with Commissioner Dan Daly about the Teen Political Forum. And boy, am I glad he did, because shortly thereafter, he came to our commission meeting and he brought it up before our board. And there was a consensus, overwhelming consensus, and the mayor did me the favor and asked if I would champion it. And for those of you that know me, I was doing a little happy dance underneath the table, because nothing suits me more than our students and connecting those students with our city. So thank you, Dan Daly. Then it just got better, because once I reach out to Commissioner Vignola and Joyce Campos, it almost brings you to tears, but with joy. And you should be so proud of, they not only sent every piece of information they possibly could about what's been done with the Teen Political Forum to date with Coral Springs, but they came. They came to our first planning session with the 20 or so students from 4 of our high schools. 4 of our 5 are participating for our inaugural year, and brought 2 Coral Glades High School current Teen Political Forum members with them. So if those students in Coconut Creek weren't charged before, they were filled with electricity coming from the likes of Commissioner Vignola and Joyce Campos. It was just amazing. You've set a model here that is truly desirable to be replicated, if we can, in another city, and it's one of your neighbors, Coconut Creek. So I know these students are going to do it justice, because it's them doing it. We're just going to give them the resources to make it happen. But I just can't thank the city, first of all, and you. A second model, as Commissioner Daly talked about, you already had one here that you said has set the brand. Well, you've set another one, and I hope you don't mind that we're stealing. I mean, using that best practice. So, thank you. And if we can ever return the favor, please let us do so. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for coming out. It's funny, you know, Joyce and I went over there, and some of the things that you brought up, we're already making changes to on how we do our event and stuff. Like you talked about maybe doing the meetings, the steering committee meetings around the city, different areas, whatever. We're already talking about doing things like that. And I know some of your students are going to come out to our first meeting, and we'll continue to help you out. And I think joint collaboration between the two, I think, will make the events for us better also. I don't know, I left you a voicemail. I don't know if you got it, but November 9th in Alachua County, they're holding a teen political forum. Also, a former student that did it here in the city of Coral Springs has been organizing up there for about a year and a half, and they're going ahead and doing it countywide up there. So it's something that's good and it's spreading, and I think it's awesome what you've done for education in Coconut Creek. And I know you've gone to numerous cities to see how they do it, and learning best practices and stuff, and the way you're committed to the youth in your community is very, very admirable. Yeah, I wanted to thank you for everything you do for your students in your community too.
Thank you. Feelings mutual.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Wow, it's quiet. Okay. We'll go on to recognitions. No, I'm sorry, public hearings.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Ordinance number 2018-109 is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Coral Springs, Florida, amending Chapter 12, Article 2, entitled General Employees Pension Plan, to change the terms for the General Employees Board of Trustee members, providing for conflict, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing for an effective date. This request to open a public hearing, approve on first reading, and set second reading. And this is simply having this General Employees Pension Board be consistent with the fire and the police, and instead of having 2-year terms, having 4-year terms. So, Mayor, if you'd open up to the public, Vice Mayor, see if anyone wants to speak about it, and then have a motion, be great.
Anybody want to speak about that? Again, it's quiet.
I'll move it.
Second? It's moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Move 5-0. Thank you. Resolution.
Mr. Vice Mayor, for your benefit, I am told that I am on a 20-second delay, so you're going to have to wait a couple seconds for my vote.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Mayor. Resolution 2018-041.
This is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Coral Springs, Florida, approving the petition of Del Cito LLC on behalf of Coral Springs LLC for the abandonment of 1-foot non-access easement that conflicts with the proposed site improvements and site circulation within Parcel A of the Greater Coral Springs Research and Development Park, Addition 3 plat. According to the plat thereof, it's recorded in Plat Book 103 at page 17 of the Public Records of Broward County, Florida, providing for recording, conflict, severability, and an effective date. Again, as request to hold public hearing, approve and adopt, and as you can see, this is simply a 1-foot wide non-access easement which conflicts with the proposed site improvements and access. So we open that to the public, Mayor and Vice Mayor, take a vote, that'd be great.
Any discussion on that? Anybody from the audience want to speak about it? No? Anybody up here?
I'll move it.
Okay, been moved, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Favor?
Okay, thank you. Approved, unanimous. I think we're at consent now, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Anybody want to remove anything from the consent list?
I'll move consent.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Oh, any
Aye.
discussion on it?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, it's approved. Unanimous. Policy formation and direction, community bus fare. Rick Engel, was Rick here?
Vice Mayor. As you know, we have a community bus program that we partner with the county. We've been doing that since 2002. We have 2 buses that run in the city. We have a green bus and a blue bus. Under our interlocal agreement, we're allowed to charge a bus fare. We have to keep our fare at least 50% lower than what the county charges. But just recently, the county approached us and said that our fare, which currently is 50 cents, which is more than half of what the county charges, doesn't meet the Federal Transit Administration's requirements. So what they've asked is that we have to provide a half fare of our fare to seniors, people with disabilities, and people that have a Medicare card. So that's what we're asking tonight, that we have to deem certain hours of the bus route as non-peak hours. We've looked at our ridership and got approval from the county that our non-peak hours are currently 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. So we're asking you to approve those as non-peak hours, and during those 2 hours a day, we will charge those people required by the federal government half fare, which would be 25 cents.
Has anything been mentioned about the veterans?
That's not a requirement of the federal government. I mean, we can
okay.
add that if you'd like, but that's not required by the federal government.
Anybody have any comment on that?
Yeah, Vice Mayor, if you're going to want the veterans, now's the time to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. If we can,
And I see no reason why we shouldn't add veterans.
exactly.
Yeah, we would need a motion to do that.
I'll go ahead.
I will
That was
make the
Charles.
motion that we add veterans to the half-fare policy.
Second.
Mayor, if I may, I mean, Vice Mayor, if I may, before you take a vote, could we just open it up to the public so that we meet the requirements of the county, just in case there's anybody here that would want to
Object.
have any comments on this?
Anybody have any comment on it? Discussion on it?
No one from the public, then you
Nobody.
can close the mayor.
Okay. I know. No, there's no comment? Okay, we'll go, yes. go ahead.
Just to be clear on the motion is to add the veterans, and with that addition, this motion includes the approval of the item, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, one vote.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Vice Mayor,
Yeah.
we had the senior fair today, and one of the residents came up to me and said that you have one of the best bus drivers ever. Essie? Okay,
Yes,
Essie.
that's
So I
our
just-
senior ride program, that's not the
Okay,
community bus
all
program.
right, I just want to pass on the
Thank you.
compliment.
I'll pass that on.
Okay, next item, professional services for development of a school and offices on portions of Parcel A, Coral Springs Municipal Complex. Wow, that was quick. You got the floor, you got the floor.
Quick, Mayor Pro Tem. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the commission, and Mayor on a mobile. It's good to be here with you tonight. Tonight for your consideration is a contract with PGA Incorporated for the design of the Coral Springs Charter School. Ian Nestler, who's a principal of PGAL, is in the audience, and he'd be available at the end if there's any questions about PGAL. We also have our great principal, Gary Springer, in the audience, and then our athletic director, Mike Higgins, who is an exceptional athletic director over there. Tonight, we'll be going over some background and kind of talking about why is this even a project, why are we even talking about it. We'll go over aspects of the project and then next steps. Our strategic plan has 5 goals, and those goals are to be a responsible city government, an investment in today and the future, downtown becoming vibrant, growing the local economy, and being the premier community in South Florida. And with these goals, the commission developed strategic projects that gave us the direction of items to work on that were the most important to the commission. And it's no surprise that the charter school relocation was a project that rose to the top as an initiative for us to consider. It's also one of the only projects that actually touches every goal and enhances each goal that's a priority for us. Now, let's talk about why this is an important project. Why even have a charter school? Why move the charter school if you decide to have one? And lastly, the question I hear from time to time, why should I even care? Why, my kids don't go there, this doesn't benefit me, why should I care? So before we do that, let's just take a little trip down memory lane. For y'all that have been here a long time, this will may look familiar, but you'll remember the boom time in Coral Springs where houses were being built quicker than you can count them. And schools were being built as fast as possible and couldn't keep up with the demand of that development. And you'll also recall that about 20 years ago, the commission made the bold decision to renovate an abandoned mall to build a charter school, a municipal charter school, to meet the needs of the community. That decision was made, and And the school had a couple rough years to start off with. It wasn't always smooth, but you give them about 2 years, and they've been an A school ever since, with the exception of, I think, 2003. Is that right, Principal? 2003, that's the loan year. The charter school, municipal charter school, has been around for 20 years, and they're actually celebrating 20 years this year. Then you're going to go into the 2000s. The city continued to prosper. 2012 and 2013 were banner years with every one of our high schools being A-rated. You're also, now let's fast forward to today. We remain the community of choice for families. We are a family community. We have everything under the sun. We have parks and recreation amenities that are vast and comprehensive. We're clean and beautiful community, a city hall that represents the quality of the city and our great residents. But we all know that the two critical factors for people when they decide where they're going to live is whether it's a safe city and the quality of the schools. And we obviously have a very, very safe city. Our residents feel safe. Our surveys show that. Our crime rate data will also show that we are a very, very safe community. We also have very strong schools, but you will notice that we have seen a downward trend in the ratings of our high schools over the last several years, and that is something that we obviously monitor. And whenever you're a 3, 4, and 5 bedroom community, it's something that as a city should be a focal point. Now you're thinking, well, that was a long way to go to get to why the charter school, but it provides the context of 20 years ago, the commission had the difficult decision to go obtain a charter for a municipal school to meet the needs of the public. And here we are 20 years later, needing to make a decision whether we want to do that, really, again, for different reasons. Now, first things first, why? Well, why have a charter school? And the clearest answer is this school is a huge asset to our city. It is our school. It has been A-rated for 15 years. It is a leader in our region. Another thing is our students and our teachers deserve a new school. They're in a building that has a leak all the time in the roof. We're bringing temporary chillers out there so that we can provide air conditioning so the kids can continue school. We're in a facility to where any significant hurricane comes by, those kids are going to struggle to finish their education there. So they also deserve a school that is safe with everything going on in the world now, and a school that meets the technological needs of our kids. We also have over 2,000 kids on the waiting list. And the majority of those are Coral Springs residents that are on the waiting list. So here we are 20 years later, needing to make a decision just like we had to make 20 years ago. And just like 20 years ago, we do not have a perfect location. 20 years ago, we used an abandoned mall. It wasn't the best situation, but it was, it's worked out great for us for the last 20 years. And so here we are 20 years later, need to make a decision. We're looking at the feasibility along the perimeter of Mullins Park that we'll go into a little bit later. It's not the perfect location either, but does have a lot of benefits over the current location. And then kind of the last question is, why should anybody care about this if they don't have a kid that goes there? And it's actually very, very simple to answer. We're a community of 3, 4, and 5 bedroom homes. People choose to live here because of the school system. And when you go to sell your house, you're going to want your value to be high. And the reason your value will be high is because of the quality of your schools. And so the quality of your schools is directly and correlated to the quality of your schools. And so really, this is an investment to protect the residential investment of all of our residents in their homes. So let's go into the aspects of the project. It would be we're looking at relocating to the perimeter of Mullins Park. We still have a lot of work to do. I'll get into that before we can even make a recommendation to the commission. We want to build on the current success of the charter school. It's a leader in our region. but we have bigger ambitions for it. We believe it could be a leader in the state, which it already is, but we believe it could be a nationally premier school. We also have plans to expand the enrollment to meet the needs of our residents that want to get into their municipal charter school. So that's part of the plans as well. Also to co-locate the Charter Schools USA headquarters into the facility. This will enable us to have the latest and greatest technology, the best resources. It will provide for the highest level of innovation in this school, and will give us a great chance to meet our goal of being nationally elite with that. Now, we also have to mitigate traffic concerns. That's the number one issue. If you drive around any of our schools right now, that's probably the number one issue where our current charter school is an issue. So this map right here just kind of, you can see Mullins Park there, Royal Palms on the south, and Coral Springs Drive going north and south, and Ben Geiger to the north of this. These two locations are the locations we're looking at that we've done some initial feasibility work, but obviously have more work to do. And and one of the things we're looking at from a traffic standpoint is we have over 1 mile of roadways within Mullins Park. And that is a lot of space that if you spend any time in Mullins Park at the time that school is getting in and out, it is not a peak time for the park, but it's a unique opportunity to use a mile of roadway that's underutilized during these periods of times for getting the kids to the school, also doing staggered start times. But this is a great opportunity that really we don't have anywhere else, and it was something that we kind of, whenever we were doing our traffic analysis, saw as a great opportunity for this site. And then we also believe that this can enhance Mullins Park. So with this, we could add artificial fields that would add to the usability of Mullins Park. We would want to do that because it is going to have athletic use from Coral Springs Charter School already uses it a lot, but it will have more, so we would look at that investment. The other thing is it would add 2 gymnasiums in close proximity to our current gym. So when we have our large tournaments that bring people in to eat in our restaurants and stay in our hotels and spend their money here, it gives us more opportunities with that as well. I do need to make it clear that this project is funded exclusively by state funding and by charter school revenues. So this isn't tax dollars from residents from their ad valorem taxes. This is state revenues that we receive, and we receive it for the per student. And then also the sale of charter school property that the school has paid while they have been in that location. And so with the project tonight that we're talking about, it'll be finalizing the feasibility through the schematic design so that we can have something to recommend. Because at this point, as you well know, we're taking it slowly, we're taking it piece by piece. We want to make sure that we have all the information so the commission can make the best decision. And so the next step in that is to authorize the contract and take it to the schematic design phase, which will tell us, it'll show where it's going to be, what it's going to look like, how many students, how the traffic patterns are going to work, what's the cost going to be, all those key aspects that you need to be able to make a decision that you do not have at this time. So next steps are to, if the commission approves the contract tonight, begin schematic design immediately and be able to get that done as soon as possible. Finalize the traffic plan, the parking plan. Those are key components of a project like this. Continue working with our stakeholders. We've been meeting with our stakeholders throughout this process, and we'll have more in-depth meetings now that we will have more information. We would anticipate coming back to the commission in December, January with an update on the feasibility. And if the project is feasible, we would begin design, and then ultimately the commission would have all the information they need to make a decision on whether or not to relocate the charter school to this location. So our recommendation is to approve the contract with PGAL, and I'd be glad to answer any questions. We also have Ian from PGAL that can answer any questions about their firm. It was a competitive selection process where we had a panel of employees that did very thorough interviews, and they rose to the top. They're currently doing Aventuras School and have experience all over the country doing this. So I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Commissioner Vinole, you had a question?
I don't have a question, but I'd like to make some comments. One, I wish we didn't have to have a need for the charter school. I really wish there was no need for the charter school in our public schools took care of every issue and education for our children. However, here in Broward County, I don't think that's the case. And then just to give everyone an idea, it's been 737 days since a person went ahead and brought a gun onto school at Coral Springs High School's campus. It's been 1,442 days since the voters of Broward County went ahead and gave them the funds to create a single point of entry. It's still not done at Coral Springs High School. Meanwhile, at Coral Springs Charter School, in the course from February 14th, which was what, August 15th or whatever, it was completed. So for our residents to have that type of stuff and to bring the professionalism that our city staff brings into the education system for our residents is unmatched. And so I know people sit there and they're anti-charter school, this, that. I'm anti-charter school, I am. I'm not anti the municipal charter school. I think it's different. I think we do things differently here as a community, everything from our police and fire departments, public works, you name it. I think we bring a different feel to the way it's done. And our partnership with Charter Schools USA is unmatched. And like you said, the school's owned by us. So people that sit there and think, oh, why are you giving up space in a park for another company? It's our school. It's our school, and we've made millions off of it. We've made a lot of money off of the school over the years. Money that we can use to go ahead and help fund SROs in other schools and things. This was always set up to be a temporary home, and here we are again with another project in Coral Springs that's preventing downtown from moving forward. And it was supposed to be a temporary facility. We saw that. We saw what the cost was on waiting too long with this facility, right? If the city did this project 20 years ago, what was the cost difference going to be, right? I mean, you think about how different our city would be. The opportunity to bring the headquarters in for Charter Schools USA, that's amazing. And to bring in their employees, obviously, want to live closer, and I think this school will be something that'll be a model for other schools throughout the country. I've heard people asking, questions about the lottery and the percentage of Coral Springs residents. Not all Coral Springs residents. Absolutely, it's not all Coral Springs residents. One of the things that I'm proud of that the commission did was, as a recruitment tool, we went ahead and allowed our employees to be bumped up on that list, and it's a recruitment tool for our employees. We know our employees are underpaid here in the city. We get excellent use out of our employees. They do a great job. Well, this is a nice way to give back to them and to allow their kids to come here. So when they go ahead and they come to work, they drop their kids off over there. The kids can go ahead and walk on over here, and I think that's something that's pretty awesome. Also, the school's employees. So people out there in the community saying, oh, it's not 100% Coral Springs residents. Well, yeah, I mean, if a teacher works there, and I have a friend who's a teacher at the school, and she's from Pembroke Pines, but her kid goes to school there. And I think that's right, and that happens at every school. My kids reassigned to a school that my wife teaches at a traditional Broward public school. Sitting there and talking about losing parks and parking space, well, okay, we're not losing parks. We're not losing parking spaces. We're gonna, the way I think it's gonna be done when we're all said and done is, we'll make sure that there's enough parking. Parking won't change. The people that are complaining about the parking and stuff for the soccer fields and all that, that parking lot was created, my first commission meeting, 8 years ago, almost to the day, right? It was about 8 years ago. That used to be a BMX track. And then, we can go ahead and we can find our ways to go ahead and make it, maneuver it, whatever. And I've heard people sit there and say, you're giving up, space within a park, and and yeah, we've done that before, and we've done it for schools. We've done it at the Sportsplex, right? We've given up park space out over there for Coral Glades High School. We've done it for, I believe, Eagle Ridge Elementary. Was Paul Britton Park, that was all part of that. Parkside, right across the street from Mullins Park. People from Parkside that complain, why would you put the school there? Well, that was supposed to be a part of Mullins Park too. That was another piece across the street that was done, and this city has always made education a priority. And we've done those things historically, not us, for years. When we talk about downtown, right? Well, we know something's happening next door. Do we want to go ahead and have to wait longer for another piece to happen? I mean, I've had developers meet with me, and they want that space. Now, I'm sure that the same thing has happened to everybody else here. This gives us opportunity to go ahead and do that. I was at the school this morning, and I know people complain about, yeah, I have 2 kids that go to school there, and my wife's a teacher, and I could put them in the other schools around here. And I don't. I choose to have my kids at Coral Springs Charter School. And there's a reason for that. And I think what Mr. Springer does at that school and the staff that he does is unmatched. And I think it's a great thing. And the biggest complaints you get from people, all the biggest complainers I always hear, and I always ask them, what year did your kids apply? And then they laugh. And they did apply to the school. And this would give an opportunity to make the school bigger will give this school an opportunity to have more of our residents. And I've made it clear before, I think eventually as a city, we should do all our middle and high schools should be charter schools. I don't think we're getting the support from the Broward County schools to do what our residents demand in education, and our property values are hurting because of it. So, and it's nothing against our principals and our teachers here, whatever. I don't think they're given the resources, and that's a thing with that. But this morning when I was there, I saw a motorcycle officer, and I asked him, I see him out there all the time, about how many tickets you give out, when you're out here, 1, 2, and he goes, every morning, 7 to 8 tickets. So this is one of the busiest intersections in Broward County. We have a school there with children, and they're crossing roads, and we're giving out 7 to 8 tickets. And while they're doing that, they're not stopping everybody that goes by. So how many people are speeding, right? And when you have children going around, that's dangerous. That's a very, very dangerous situation. And I think by expanding the school and making it bigger, you really talk about property values. And the partnership that I think we're going to create here with Charter Schools USA, because I think we're going to do this the right way, I think this is going to make something that's really going to put us on the map. I really, really do. I think this school will be something that every other school, not just charter schools, I think every other school around is going to come and take a look at and say, hey, this is something special. So, I would like to make the motion, and however, I know everyone else wants to speak too. I have more comments, but I think you have the way I feel.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I think that
I do have some questions I would like to ask, but before I ask it, I'd like to have everybody do their comments.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm grateful for Commissioner Vignola's comments. I think they state the facts. But what I just want a clarification. Approving this tonight, that we're approving a feasibility study to see if it's feasible, and this is including the people who are going to be affected by our decision.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Mayor, you had a comment?
It's not a comment. I'd like to have some points, at least have an exclamation point after it. First of all, Mr. Goodrum, can you tell the citizens of Coral Springs, are any of our tax dollars from Coral Springs going to be put into this particular project, other than what we get back from the state anyway?
Mayor, no. In fact, the charter school has a significant fund balance from state revenues, because we've known obviously for some time that this was needed. So we have fund balance that's funding this work, and then any revenue that bonds that would be issued would not be towards our debt. It would be based on state revenue that we receive from the state per student.
All right. If I can continue, Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
One of the biggest problems I had with the project about 4 years ago was traffic. And I want to have the assurance that this feasibility study will in fact get into the traffic flow, so we don't have a backup at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, such that the kids are missing classes or even people are missing times from their jobs. Do we have that assurance?
Yes, sir, Mayor. So whenever we finish with this aspect of it, you would have a full traffic study, full parking study, parking plan. You would have all that so that you can make a decision whether or not it's what you wanted to move forward with.
All right, follow up again. One of the things that I have heard from citizens is they're afraid that the city is giving away our museum and our theater. Is that true?
No, Mayor, it is not true. It would be incorporated with those. We would anticipate the performing arts venue being a shared facility during its non-peak time. Our charter school has an exceptional performing arts program that we could see some benefits of them working together, but this does not displace either one of those aspects.
And do you see this as an enhancement to our community as far as the entertainment that we have been providing our citizens? And will that continue?
Yeah, Mayor, and I've met with the performing arts venue, and I've met with Lynn Singleton, and they do not see this as a negative. This will not take away from the quality of acts. It will not reduce the number of performances. You know, if we can find a way to enhance the performing arts venue as a part of this, we'd obviously look for ways to do that, but it will not take away any of those aspects.
And finally, my question, so everybody understands, is the placement of the school, I believe 4 or 5 years ago, is not the placement that you are anticipating or your designers are anticipating using to make this a building which we will be proud of as citizens of Coral Springs.
Yes, sir. I believe the previous plans had the need for structured parking and other types of things. At this point, we do not anticipate any of those needs. We anticipate 2 different facilities, which I believe the last time it was 1. By having the 2 different facilities, we're able to better provide for the students and have better facilities at the school.
And I'm a lawyer, so I get to say that that was my last question, but I just want to enhance on what Commissioner Carter said. This is merely a feasibility study, and I want everybody to know, until we know that this is a good project for all of Coral Springs, this is not a vote to go ahead, it's a vote to make sure or to see, should we go ahead?
Yeah, Mayor, I see this as, I need to be able to have the right information to provide to you so that I can make a recommendation, which I'm not at the point I don't have that information yet, and so that you can have everything you need to make a decision. And I'm recommending this contract because I need this contract to be able to get to that point.
I said last one, that you just mentioned something. None of the dollars that are being spent on this particular contract are coming from city money. Is that correct?
They're not coming from our ad valorem taxes. The charter school is a component fund of our overall budget, but it's not coming from any of our traditional municipal revenues.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thanks, ma'am.
Vice Mayor, I have, City Manager Goodrum, I have one more question. So one of the complaints that I hear on a regular basis is on our traffic studies that they're not done at the comparable hours or the right days. So, you know, I work in the building next to the charter school, so I know what the bad times are. So if the times could be comparable for those neighborhoods, I think that would be a fair comparison. Okay.
I just wanted to make a quick comment. Mike, I am hearing people, and I've had people walk up to me in the last week, I hear you're moving to charter school. Oh, you guys voted to move to charter school. No, we have not made any decisions. What we're talking about tonight has already been discussed. You did an eloquent job. What we're trying to do is lay out all the possibilities, and then we'll make a decision. But it's just, people have to understand, these things don't happen without a little bit of work. This is a major move, so we're going to do some major, some major research into it, okay? Any other comments?
So, just to clarify what the manager has said and everyone has said, this is a 2-phase contract, and that first phase is the feasibility study, and only if, at that point, the feasibility study goes forward, with the manager making that determination, can move forward with the architectural, but that phase 1 happens first, and it needs to be determined to be feasible.
That's it? What are
Second.
comments?
Sorry.
Okay. Moved by Commissioner Carter, seconded by,
No, Larry moved it, I
oh,
seconded it.
Larry, okay.
Larry moved it.
I seconded it.
Seconded, okay. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Passes unanimous. Okay.
Next page.
You know, we got this one, okay. Commissioner Communications? Start with Dan and work this way. To the Daily, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Vice Mayor. I'll be brief. I did want to mention just a couple things. I wasn't able to stay for the remainder of the International Dinner Dance a couple weeks ago, but I found out just the other day something kind of neat that happened, and I wanted to share it because I thought it was worth mentioning. And it's not for publicity. It was not a stunt of any kind. I just thought it was kind of cool. I got together with Al Hendrickson Jr. the other night, or the other day, who had mentioned that he's been coming to the event for years and supportive of the event. And he pulled up to the valet, which Al Hendrickson, I guess, donates for the event. He pulled up to the valet, and the valet gentleman came around to his car to park his car, and they got to talking, and one thing led to another, and the gentleman expressed to Mr. Hendrickson that he had been having car trouble and that he was, having trouble getting to work and all these other things, and somehow the conversation evolved, and Al Hendrickson Jr. actually ended up donating a vehicle to the valet guy, which I thought was really cool, and just kind of spur of the moment. I'm sorry that I missed it at the event. I just think that's really, it says a lot, and to not do it for, it wasn't pre-planned, there was no camera, it's just a really good deed to do to help somebody out that was in a rough spot. So I thought that was pretty neat, and I just wanted to share it with people. Folks, we are almost there. Not that I'm counting, but we're about 20 days, 7 hours, 43 minutes and 20 seconds away from the election. Vote by mail ballots are out right now. So if you requested one, you probably should have received it by now. If you haven't, you might want to check. You can still request an absentee ballot up and until October 31st. I wouldn't wait that long, word of advice. Wouldn't wait that long to request it, but if you want, you can request one at browardsoe.org. That's the Broward Supervisor of Elections website, or you can call them at 954-357-7050 to get an absentee ballot. It's recommended just because it's such a long ballot this year. You're talking about 5 pages, you're talking about numbers of issues, very important issues, all the way up and down the ballot. So if you want to take advantage of vote by mail, you can do that, again, up until October 31st at 5 p.m. Early voting starts October 22nd and will run until November 4th. That's 2 weeks. From 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The Northwest Regional Library, as always, will be a location. My understanding is last election cycle, actually the primary and the election cycle prior to that, we were either first or second in the county in terms of turnout. So it's really a good thing to have such a large early voting presence in Coral Springs. But you can always certainly take advantage of early voting. Again, that's from October 22nd to November 4th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then, of course, you have your election day 11/6 on November 6th. So looking forward to that as well. If you need anything, you can call me on my cell at 954-778-3304. Email me at ddaly@coralsprings.org or find me on any of the social media outlets. Thanks, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Well, first I want to mention that our commission meeting, first meeting in November is moved from November 7th at 9 a.m. to the 14th at 9 a.m. So if you're looking forward to coming to our next commission meeting, just come a week later. The commission had moved that, and I think part of it is there might be some people out of town, and also there might be some candidates recovering from a hard-fought battle. With that, this Friday, October 26th from 5 to 8, and Saturday, October 27th from 2 to 7 p.m. at the Coral Springs Gymnasium. For $5 a kid and $2 an adult, we'll have our Halloween haunted house. Bring your little superheroes and princesses out there, and it's a family-friendly Halloween haunted house. Children wander through a scary haunted house that weaves through the indoor classrooms and then have a chance to play on the bounce houses and slides. There's a themed room for the youngest visitors. Great little thing. My kids have kind of outgrown that a little bit, but we loved going out there for years. Rick, you guys do a great job with that. And then right afterwards, if you walk on over to Fire Station 80, that's located at, well, that's, it's listed here wrong, actually. But the address is wrong here on the website. The Coral Springs Fire Department is hosting the Cancer Awareness Pasta Dinner. That's October 27th. That same Saturday from 4 to 8:30 p.m. at Station 80. Bring the whole family out there. It's kind of neat. It's they raise money for the American Cancer Society, along with the Coral Springs Professional Firefighter Benevolent Association. But it's a great event. You might see Sparky, the fire watchdog, out over there, and the kids love going out there and seeing the fire station. And for those of you that have not had the opportunity to come inside one of our fire stations and meet the men and women of the Coral Springs Fire Department, it's a great event. Election, I think, has been brought up, but I'd like to wish all the candidates good luck, whether I'm voting for you or not. I think it's important that people do go out and run for office and have healthy debate and spur healthy debate. Hope that we can keep things civil out over there, especially in Coral Springs. And I wish you all luck. And if anyone wants to reach me, please call me on my cell phone at 954-632-7544. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just want to tag on Commissioner Daley and Vignola that the ballot is very, very confusing. You can reference readytovote.org, and it gives you great explanations because some of the wording is tricky. I want to congratulate my senior advisory board. Thanks, Abe. And the Parks and Recreation staff and PD and everybody for a wonderful health fair today out at the Coral Springs Gym. It was a well-attended event. Now, October 27th, this is a big day. In the morning, it's the 5th annual Memory Stair Climb for 9/11 at Taravella. In the evening, after your nap, is Moon Dance at the Coral Springs Museum. Now, this is Halloween weekend. Where can you go for a 7-piece band, drinks and food for $50 a person? This is going to be an amazing event. So, hope to see you there. And if you need to reach me, I'm at 954-998-9186 or joycarter@coralsprings.org. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Mayor, do you have any comments you want to make?
And my comments are quick. I want to thank everybody for their thoughts and prayers. I still am very active, having the city manager and the city attorney come to my house while I was sitting in a hospital bed to conduct city business. And I want to thank, most importantly, my best nurse, who's my wife, Lynn Campbell. Without her, I don't know where I would be. I will be back on that dais probably within 2 to 3 weeks, I hope. I'll be in a wheelchair, but my mind and my body will be there, making sure we keep Coral Springs the best city in the state of Florida and the United States. And I do want to just follow up on what Commissioner Vignola says. We have a great city commission, and I want to make sure that everybody gets out there and votes the candidate of their choice. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Looking forward for your return. I have some just quick comments. Today, we did the ribbon cutting. The Rotary Club built see if I say this right, apiary? Yes. Okay. Out at Dr. Paul's Park. Quite an event, quite an event. And a couple of days ago, Deputy Chief Sean and I went to Riverside Elementary School and had lunch there. Now, remember, last meeting I mentioned I went to the 1013 Club and how much fun I had with a room full of New York retired police officers. This topped that. And I think I didn't get my hearing back till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Those kids, weren't they great? So innocent, so full of fun. And these are the kind of things that I look forward to. So anyway, contact me, 954-801-2004. Please, if there's any time you want to meet with me, call me and I'll make the time for you. City Manager?
Thank you. I can confirm the mayor has been very active. I am wishing you a speedy recovery, Mayor. Maybe go back to your other job, because Mayor, you're wearing me out a little bit, but I hope you get well soon. Next week is a very exciting week for us. It is the Florida Government Week. Am I saying that right, Liz? And it is about us celebrating the job that governments do and people take for granted. They turn their water on and it comes out, they flush their toilet, it goes away, and all those things that we get excited about and everybody else takes for granted. So, but at the heart of government is the people, and I'll tell you, we have a special thing here. Our citizens that volunteer and give so much, and our employees that sacrifice and serve with excellence is what really is the heart of the city. So I'd like to thank all of our employees and all our volunteers, and obviously the commission for what you do to make this a great city. Thank you.
Yes, Vice Mayor, I have one item. I have a resolution, number 2018-044. The resolution of the City of Coral Springs, Florida, approving the Second Amendment to the settlement agreement with Broward County for the litigation-style City of Sunrise et al. Versus Broward County, provided for severability, provided for conflicts, provided for an effective date. I'm requesting this to be approved. This commission will all remember you were all on the dais at the time. In 2015, we had sued the Resource Recovery Board concerning the disposal of the assets for the solid waste the Resource Recovery Board did when they were dismantling. Consistent with that and the commission's support, we received over $3 million in a settlement on it, but as well as there's a piece of property known as Alpha 250. And we agreed at the time at the settlement that that would be sold and distributed to the interested parties, the cities, basically, depending on per rata of how we did the solid waste. It was an agreement, the First Amendment was to go ahead and to do a joint study to see how maybe this piece of property could help us with the county reaching 75% countywide recycling goal, whether retaining the ownership would facilitate the meeting of that recycling goal, and just how this property could help with just general waste issues. The study is still being completed, and as a result, this is simply asking for it to be, the deadline is coming up, and for the deadline to be passed, and for there to be more time, a one-year extension to look at this further. So very straightforward. So if there's a motion to approve that resolution and the settlement agreement, we can go ahead and have those executed.
Move to approve.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Daley, seconded by Commissioner Carter. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Pass unanimous. And Larry, you wanted to say?
Yeah, just talking about the election and people want to get out there and vote. There are 22 early voting sites, and anyone who lives in Broward County can vote at any one of them. So if you want to sneak out of work, if you work somewhere else in the county, go to browardsoe.org, and you'll be able to go ahead and take a look at the sites. The nearest one to us that I know doesn't have a long line is the Parkland P-Rec Center, and that's at 10559 Trails End. Also, the library over here, if you want to go there, 3151 University Drive, but get out there and vote early. You never know. Don't wait till the last day, because sometimes things pop up or whatever. But get out there and vote, and just be educated about what you're voting on. So, thank you.
Anybody else would like to say anything? With that, we're adjourned.